said good morning. It is not. It is good evening.
Just do what Baker does. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever.
Whatever. I'm just not. I should be used to being here at night because we've done some nighttime streams here lately. So I don't know what time it is. But I am here with, I just call her Jess. Jedi Jess, Jemima. Don't know her real name. Don't ever want to know her real name. Are you good? There's Carmen. Hello, Carmen. Hello, Gabby. Hello, Flash Fan.
Shutting things down. Let's see. Is that better?
You weren't freezing on my end.
Oh, you were like freezing on my end, so I assume
Maybe
it was
it's
like
me.
my internet being weird.
It might be me. I may have too many tabs
We're both
open.
clear now.
Okay. If I start to do anything wonky, it's because generally I have too many tabs open. But there's, all right. They're closed. Because I've noticed that I hate when YouTube does this to me and I can see people in chat.
I know what it is.
Sorry. Okay.
I didn't swap my wired internet over.
Got it.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. As I told her before I started, I'm professional. So we're both professionals.
There we go. That should be better now.
Okay. Gabby said she didn't see any glitches, so we're good. All right. Flashman says, how's our favorite juror and favorite lawyer? We're great.
We're great. We're professionals, somewhat.
That's right. We're semi-pro. Hello, Carmen. Hope you got some sleep.
2 different setups. So yeah, that's part of the problem is I have one for work because.
Oh, wait! Now you're freezing on me.
And then I have one for streaming, so it's just a matter of switching cords around.
Wait! Now you're frozen. I don't know what happened. There you go. Now you're back. I know.
Yes, it's a wax melter.
Isn't that cute?
It's got wax in it.
Flashman, the lies you tell. I am anything but. That's why I always, no offense, but I always say lawyers and tech don't mix. So. Hey, Kim. I never see you here at night. I'm like super excited. She's been with me since like.
See, you're freezing on my end, which makes me think it's my internet.
Ah. That's so weird. Because you're fine. I look fine. It's because it's winter and we're cold. Hey, Wow. Good to see you. We're just working out some technical issues. And Gabby's like, and I still have no glitches.
Could be me. I think we're good now.
Awesome, Kim. So I'm glad you're here. Hey, Wow. You're supposed to be.
Kids are Christmas passion.
I don't know why Flashman keeps saying I yelled at him. I did not yell at him. I've never yelled at anybody on stream.
What is he yelling?
He keeps saying I yelled at him. I'm like, Flashman, I did not yell at you. So Jess, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself and then we will kind of dive into things and kick this. I'm excited. I've been like looking forward to this because it's like
Sure,
right up my alley.
sure. So most of you have probably seen me in Baker's chat as a mod. I think I've been on in his chat for a little over a year now. Started kind of watching trials, at least on YouTube, with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard lovely drama
Oh,
that
yeah.
was.
Mhm.
And mostly because that, like, we're taught in law school that defamation is an impossible case. Like, it's not possible to win. It's just it's there, but for the most part, you're never gonna win. So of course, when they say, "Oh, we're gonna be doing a 6-week trial on it," I was like, "Wait, what? You're gonna be doing a whole trial on this?"
Yeah, no kidding,
So
especially that long of one.
yeah, and then like you start actually like watching some of it and start hearing some of the stuff that was out because there was already a trial in England at the time that had gone through, but their laws are different than ours when it comes to that stuff. Um, and so I started listening in on that one at first on Court TV, and then the commercials were driving me nuts. So then I went on YouTube and kind of searched that up and found Emily D. Baker and started listening to her streams of them because that was far more entertaining than the commercials on Court TV.
Absolutely.
But the first live trial I actually watched was not even on YouTube. It was the Trayvon Martin case way back.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was like 2012 or
It's
2013, something like that. And I watched it through like Yahoo News or something like that at the time while I was in college and working in an
wow.
office. So that was the first one I watched live, um, which was interesting to see. And then, like I said, I got into it on here with Johnny Depp being ever heard because that was unheard of. Like defamation has just always been shut down. So I wanted to see how that played out. And I'm sure you probably saw if you watched that trial, when you watched anyone in LawTube, you saw it go from everyone going, "Oh, this is not he's not going to win, like no way," to going, "Wait a second, oh, hey, he really has a chance at winning this."
Yeah.
Because it's so prevalent that it's taught that. So that was kind of like my first foray into the YouTube, into the lawyer realm. And then I found Baker through various things and I've kind of stuck with him because I like the smaller chats and like to hang out with everyone and talk. And not that I don't love EDV and I still watch a lot of their takes and stuff, but it's not as fun when the chat is flying by.
And her chat is
Her chat
crazy.
is insane.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh," I would just be, like, rocking back and forth.
Yeah. I
It's
give her mods great credit because I don't know
absolutely.
how they keep track of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I've only watched a few of her just I don't remember the last thing something recent that I went over there to see her take on the verdict because it was I think she was one way and a lot of people were the other.
Mhm.
And I think it went her way. It went
Yeah.
guilty versus not. And so I wanted to see what she um had to say and I was like, I can't even. I
Yeah.
can't see what's happening here.
It's
I
so
I
insane.
can hear her, but that was fine. But yeah, it's a lot. So, but
Yeah.
I'm
I tend to
happy
watch
for her.
her more on replay now than anything.
Yeah,
Um,
and
but
for
yeah.
me,
So
I
then
have
I got
to.
into Baker's chat
And
and
the
I
rest
try to
is
say hi to
history.
everyone and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Um, I've been I was admitted to the bar in 2017. So it's been about 7 years, which is terrifying to think of on how fast it's gone.
It goes fast. It goes
And
fast.
yeah, Well, because I mean, 7 years is about how long it takes you to get to your law degree because you have 4 years of undergrad and then 3 of law school. So, like, to think that I'm on the other end of that is
Yeah.
crazy.
It does. Yep. Don't. I understand in a different sense because uh, I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was just telling, like, you hit weird points in your life where you look around and you're like, where has my life gone?
Mhm.
What have I done with it? And it gets kind of overwhelming sometimes because I don't feel 51 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think of myself like as being that old. And not that I now that I am that old, I don't think it's that old. That age of old moves up. And but it's still I'm going looking back on, man, what happened? Like I swear I was 17 yesterday.
Yeah. It's like a
And
blink of the eye.
absolutely, and you just when you're young and like a little kid and you're like, you're going so slow and everything is crazy. You don't listen to the people that have been there and are telling you like,
Yep.
hey, like enjoy where you are
Yeah.
because
And
it's gonna be gone.
yeah, enjoy the freedom of being a kid and not having
Yeah.
responsibilities and
Yes. Like and getting to take a nap and,
yeah.
having everything, a house and all that stuff for you. You don't have to worry about it yourself necessarily.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But so can I ask what type of law
Yeah.
you are
So
practicing or whatever you're doing?
yeah. So right now it's technically a non-practicing role because it's within a big bank. But I work in a trust department settling trusts.
Oh, nice.
So I spend all of my time reading trust documents and wills and all of that fun stuff and creating settlement documents to basically just end the trust out and distribute it out. So it's a lot of paperwork, but I did the firm thing for a little while and absolutely hated it. There was no real balance as far as work and life.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, it really got to a point where I had to decide how much of my life did I want to spend in the office and away from my friends, my family, like all of that.
Right.
And I came to the decision that I was gonna basically kind of try to go to that less traditional, law role and go towards the trust side in the banking world. Um, and got in there, and I've been in there for 5 years now. Um, so that's been
Which
really good. My earlier like intern stuff was mostly the DCYF court realm. Um, but given that what you've seen a lot in Massachusetts, you can probably guess that it's very similar here in Rhode Island. It's all about who you know. So trying to get into those spots, you couldn't get it unless you knew people who were already in. And meeting those people during your internships isn't enough. Like you have to know them to get, you know, into
right,
those spots.
right.
Um,
Which unfortunately is a lot of things. You
yeah,
you know, it just kinda sucks because everybody should get a fair shot at it, and you don't always.
no, and that's kind of the part that sucked. But I kind of came to terms with it and was like, all right, well, we can always keep trying to go that route if we want to. Um, but then I went towards the trust route, and so the other way I kind of balance that out is we have what we call deferred justice type things. And one of those is a juvenile hearing board where first time juvenile offenders come before the board of there's I think 7 of us total, and we kind of go through what landed them there because they're basically criminally charged, but not quite yet. And then it's if they do what we recommend, usually community service, some kind of letter or essay type thing, then the case goes away. And so long as they don't get in trouble again, it stays away. If not, then they get sent over to family court where the juvenile criminal stuff is heard and they pick up an extra charge. So that's kind of how I still satisfy that want and need to work in that realm
Right.
while still
Right.
doing something that allows me to have a life outside of an office.
Right. And I imagine that gets overwhelming too.
Yeah, you see a
Because
lot.
you see a lot of bad. Hopefully you have a lot of good, like, hey, we had some success here, or the people that listened to you and took you guys seriously and didn't get in, did
Yeah.
what you asked and turned their lives around, got out of trouble instead of just keep going down a really, a bad path, for lack of a better word, how to.
Yeah, and I like it because it gives kids a chance to realize that they mess up and then, kind of, I don't want to say get a freebie, but like kids aren't fully developed. They're not adults. They don't always know when they're making a stupid choice.
Yeah.
So like I love it because it gives them that chance to have a stupid decision and still not ruin their lives
And
completely.
right.
Because once
Because
you get in the criminal justice system, you cannot get out. It's difficult as all hell. Um, and and I know that from somewhat of my own personal experience, not necessarily from me being in the criminal justice system, but I always joke and say that I was raised by criminals. Um, because while my dad didn't have quite the record, my uncle did, because he, for the most part, always took the blame. My high school years were spent in a house where they dealt things and there was gambling
oh,
type
wow.
things, and they for the most part tried to keep it out of me, like, and my uncle did his best to, like, make sure that no one came over after a certain time, things like that, but it still happened, and the house was raided twice while we were there.
Oh,
um so like that's why and I've seen it through that aspect, like they both came up at the same time, like they were childhood best friends, they had known each other their whole lives. And like, while my dad, for the most part, stayed out of the criminal justice system and was able to stay in normal, stable jobs because he didn't have it, my uncle flopped back and forth. There would be times where he could work construction and he'd have a job and he'd be doing great. And then he'd either get laid off because of something or the company would go under and he'd have to resort back to what he knew or what he could make money doing.
right.
So, like,
Right.
it's one of those where I always say, like, but once you get in, it's very hard to get out because it's an easy fix and
Mhm.
not everyone wants to hire someone who has a record.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Let me do this real quick. Thank you, Toy.
yeah.
Um, Chrissy Budgets got a gifted membership from Toy. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Uh, but yes, it is. And you'll hear like Fleischer say to somebody for
Mhm.
theft, especially those, and I agree with him. He's like, nobody wants to hire a thief.
No,
Like that's
because
the
they're going to
worst.
wonder the whole time, are you stealing from me?
Yes. And
Yep.
so I always hope when he tells somebody that's really young that's coming in there, and generally for retail theft, just that
Mhm.
stupid thing. But when they've been in there and like, this is your third one,
Yeah.
it's like, what is going to wake you up? Because you are so young and your life is like, you have no idea
Yeah.
where it's going right now. And you don't want to listen to the people that can tell you that, because when you're that age, you know everything.
Yeah. You
And
think you know the world.
yes, you can't tell anybody, nobody can tell you anything. You've got it all figured out. And it scares me for them, because I'm
Yeah.
like, I please listen, like, and sorry, a puddle town. Oh goodness. Order on rye. Okay. Well, we can only get a true rye bread from Baker, I think. So,
Yes, at least that's what he always says.
yes.
He's gonna have to give a rye bread recipe at some point.
Something. I was thinking about his crust yesterday when he's like, "Oh, crust is easy. It's 4 ingredients." And then he lists the 4 ingredients, and I was thinking about that today, and I thought, "But you didn't tell me how much of the 4 ingredients."
Oh, he has it in Discord.
I was like, "You
He has
just told
all of
me
his
4
yeah,
ingredients."
he has his recipes in Discord.
Okay.
Um, that's where
I'm not
I pulled the cookie recipe. He puts them in grams just as a warning. Um,
okay.
so
Okay.
use a
Oh
food
gosh.
scale.
Oh. Well, I'm just gonna buy Pillsbury.
Hey, place and bake cookies taste just as good as homemade.
Right? And that for some reason, I can make those. I cannot make homemade cookies. It is, ridiculous. I haven't even tried in probably 20 years because I gave up of going, "What
a
is
lot of
wrong with
it
my cookies?"
a lot of it depends on the ingredients and following certain directions. And like me and my mother-in-law were actually just talking about this on Sunday because it's that time of year where we're both making a ton of cookies for things. And one of her grandson, my nephew, has taken up cooking recently. And he made a fabulous mac and cheese for Thanksgiving, but he's wanted to make cookies. And I guess one of his first forays was into sugar cookies, which are like the hardest cookie to make. Like if you do not do everything perfect with sugar cookies, for some reason they will fail super easily.
I would have never guessed that they were, like, one of the hardest cookies to make.
I will every chance make chocolate chip cookies or oatmeal chocolate chip, anything else. So much easier.
Anytime I tried to make, like, um, chocolate chip cookies, Nestle Toll
Yeah.
House or Friends Nestle Toll House or whatever Phoebe said.
Yep. I love that episode.
They come out, like, hard as a freaking rock. I'm like, "What is wrong with these
You're cooking
cookies?"
too long.
Well, and if I don't, then I'm like, "Okay." I don't know what it was. I don't think I've even tried to bake cookies since, um
It also could be what you're using. Like if you're using butter versus um like shortening or Crisco, that could change how crispy it is.
and I don't know. The last time I remember even trying to make chocolate chip cookies was in the '90s.
Yeah.
So,
It's
it's been a minute.
yeah.
I just was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'll buy some." Chips Ahoy are great. Dip them in
Yeah.
milk and they're delicious, so
And
it's
nowadays they have so many different kinds of those place and bakes.
Yes,
Just
and
just go
my
for it.
husband's like, "You're supposed to bake them, not eat them raw." Because 'cause I'm like, "These are so good." Like, they're so good. Hey hello, Megan, Florida. Thank you for don't tell
No.
Baker you jumped in.
Hope he's going well. I know it's a newer creator.
It is. Yeah, I hope she's doing well. I think she'll be fine. All right. Carmen's bringing us back around. I am not a
Why are
Boomer
death
Flash fan.
why are they next to impossible? Well, because of the First Amendment. You have a right to say a lot of things that is your opinion, and defamation kind of hinders on you spreading a lie that you knew was a lie and you still spread it anyway versus that was just your opinion. So generally they're very hard to win. Um, where you kind of cross into that and why I think Johnny Depp was so successful was because it damaged his reputation in a way that damaged his business in a way. Because like you have Johnny Depp the person, but then you have Johnny Depp the actor, and
Yes.
because it diminished his his role in the acting world and the way he made money, he had damages. A lot of times with defamation, you can't really prove the damages either.
And I had heard on during that, hang on. Hello, Ada K. How you
Hi,
doing?
Ada.
Hope you are doing well today. I know today was
Yeah.
a rough day. Um, when that trial was going on, um, I remember them saying that it was probably because of the monetary losses that he had that
Mhm. He had provable damage.
yes. And
Whereas, like, if someone went and slandered me, there's a very good chance my life's not gonna really be affected other than people maybe believing that slander in the sense that, like, they're not gonna talk to me anymore.
and is it also too though, like if you okay, so you said something about me and it wasn't true, but it cost me like $50 of damage. Do I have to be able to prove that it cost me that like
Yeah.
$50 worth of damage, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's what I
Which
thought
is why
too.
in that trial you had all of the witnesses that I forgot the guy's name, but he was that, like, Jack Nicholson looking guy who was, like, the contract guy and talked about contracts and
Yes,
talked
I know, but
about
I don't remember his
Zendaya
name.
and, like, all of that, it's like, "She's Zendaya, that's why." Like,
Yes.
um, but yeah, so that's why you had that guy is because he was there to prove that he lost damage and not just because of COVID or, something else going on or his addiction or things like that. He lost it because of what she did.
Hello, Christine. Yeah, that was I and the funny thing was I didn't wanna watch that trial, like, I was not interested.
Mm.
And, at first and then Carmen was like, "Mom, you've got to watch this trial." So I missed all of his side. I did
Oh,
not start
geez.
watching it until her side. So that's the side I saw, and that was the side that convinced me that he should win.
Which is terrible. Which
I know.
is so terrible. Which is so bad.
Hey, Iris, thank
Iris.
you for coming in real quick and saying hi. Don't tell Baker you were here.
Oh, she probably will.
That's a theme of the night. Don't tell. Don't tell on us. Oh, okay. I
I
don't
am
know.
not.
Okay. That was a
I
quick and
avoided the
easy
divorce
one.
court in like the plague.
Everybody. Ah, he's never gonna let Jess come into my chat again. But but yeah, that was what convinced me that he was he was telling the truth and she was telling a lie was all her side because
It was
I didn't
bad.
see any of his.
See, uh, I didn't just like get completely convinced, but I got scared when he was talking about how she insisted on going to his withdrawal on the island when he was going through withdrawals on the island, and she insisted on being in charge of his meds. That terrifies me
Oh,
because anyone who's seen someone go through addiction and treatment and things like that knows that like the withdrawal part is the worst time for
bad.
people,
Yes.
and it really can mess with you mental health wise. And I worried that she was going to push him to a point where he did
Self-deleted.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or did
eh,
something to her.
yeah, especially when she was also then later on insisting about the will stuff and wanting to, why isn't she in the will when like they had just gotten married and like all this other stuff. And I was just like, that is terrifying. Like I worry that she was gonna find a way to make it look like an accident.
Yeah, she's
Um,
she's horrible. Thank you, Iris. AJ with the best guess. Also, AH sucks. Yes, she
mhm.
does. Thank you, Iris.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
her
Puddle,
her her lawyers did the best they could, I think, with her.
but
Um,
did they? Because
I think
I was driving, so I wasn't watching. I was listening, and I'm like, you couldn't convince one person to come testify for her of her friends. We had to do all these video depositions
most of
that
them
were
weren't her friends anymore.
well, I guess that makes sense, but I'm like, "Come on, you guys couldn't get anybody to come."
Yeah, and I think had they let Rottenbaum bomb or whatever Rottenborn or whatever the heck his name was,
Rottenborn.
yeah, run the trial, he would have been fine. Because he would have ran it more on a First Amendment free speech guides, and I think he could have maybe won it. Still probably would have lost, but I think he would have had the better trial strategy because they went with Elaine's theory, or do whatever Amber wanted their way. I think that's what lost in the case, especially because at least to me, one of the biggest blunders Elaine made was when she was cross-examining witnesses, and you probably missed this because it was the first half of the trial that she was doing the crosses. She's asking them, do you know what amica cream is? And they're all looking at her super confused, going, what? What is that? What are you talking about? And really what she meant was arnica cream. So the reason why that to me is a huge blunder is because you're asking them, hey, do you know what amica cream is? Did you ever see or use it? And they can truthfully say no because it doesn't exist.
Right.
Whereas if you say, hey, did you see her use arnica cream? Have you ever heard of it or what it does? And they say no, you could easily find a way to impeach them if they've said yes previously or something like that. Whereas you don't get to that impeachment point because you asked the wrong item.
Yeah.
You
And
asked about the wrong thing.
I did not see that, and I had to figure out what everybody was talking about because I did only catch the second half. What was it
She
for?
did that over and over again, and I assume it's because of her handwriting. And she, like, the R and the N merged into an M. But yes, supposedly a cream that magically wipes away bruises.
Yes.
Not that there's a single thing that would ever do that.
No, especially her and the video, the pictures that she took on her phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, that all just fell apart so fast for
Well, and
her.
then there was at least two. I remember there being two different pictures that she submitted that she claimed were for two different incidents, like twice. Like she claimed twice that they were for different incidences. And I was like, but that's the same exact photo. Like that one is just cropped, and that one you changed the lighting on.
Yes.
And so that was kind of one of the things where I was like, scratching my head going, why aren't your attorneys proofing this before they're agreeing to put this in as evidence?
And her testimony was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't believable at all. Her my dog stepped on a bee thing was ridiculous.
The amount of memes that came out of her testimony.
I mean, it was endless. And then she cries about that. And it's like, you did it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I don't feel sorry for you. You are making it hard for people who have actually been through what you're claiming to have gone through, impossible to come talk about it. And they're not going to talk about it because you have just set it back.
Yeah.
And she still is not acknowledging that. I saw a thing like, on like Snapchat, they do the stories or whatever. And it was celebs that have been canceled in 2024. Johnny Depp was listed as one. Like, he got canceled in 24? Okay. Well, all they talked about was that trial, and they did not.
He bounced back after that trial like crazy.
Yeah. Nope. That's all they talked about.
Although the documentary came out that was this year or last year? Netflix did a documentary recently.
I don't have Netflix, sorry.
Oh, I don't either. But it, from what I've heard, it was very heavy skewed towards Amber.
Oh, I'm sure it was. You're right. Like, they were awful and no pictures. And she has all these other pictures. I wasn't blaming the dog. I was blaming Amber for making a dumb face when she was talking about her dog stepping on a bee. But yeah, they were talking about how like Disney dropped him from Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm like, this is old news.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about this? They did not say that she lost, that he won. They said they settled. I'm like, wait, they didn't settle that one.
Yeah. And there was a settlement afterwards, but it was a settlement in regards to like the damages, which is common. You'll get a verdict and then you'll settle the damages.
So it was not, it was I was just going, "This is why I don't watch these dumb things, because you
Yeah.
guys can't get the truth in half of them." So, um, it sorry, these guys are cracking me up with their comments. Um, it did make him look good. I thought it made him look,
Yeah.
down to earth. It didn't make him look like a elitist celebrity that she looked
Yeah.
like, you
Yep.
know? Um, I thought that just he won the crowd over every day with you could just
Mhm.
tell. Like, he had people cheering him on, and she didn't have anybody, and it's
Well,
like
a lot of that came after his testimony about what happened. And like it was real, like it felt real um when you listen to it and you could see typical signs of someone like remembering things. Um like one of the clips I know I've seen a ton is when he's talking about her throwing I think a bottle at him or something and he closes his eyes and he's like and you like see him he goes and it flows, it flies back this way and hits the wall or something behind me and then she like throws something else and like you see him like reliving it um and it happens again I think when he's talking about his finger you can see he was reliving it and then you could also see him trying to do that awkward like make fun of it because he's very much that I'll just joke my way through the pain
right, right.
type person so like it felt real to a lot of people and I think that's where a lot of people at the time were like, even if he doesn't win this trial, he's already won in the public.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah. So I do wanna switch gears a little bit because I did give you 2, uh, trials that at least have kind of float around things that bother me. Nidawau and I had a very, very brief conversation about this. Well, was I asked her a question and then she agreed. I asked she was in chat one day, I asked a question, she agreed, that was our conversation. So, but, it's about, the lesser includeds that I
Yeah.
asked you about. So, I don't know if you guys watched it was on Hulu, it was called, I wrote the name down. Little Miss Innocent: Passion, Poison, Prison. It's a story about Caitlin Conley. I had actually heard a podcast about it a few years ago, and but I think it was before the trials had happened. So there
Oh,
wasn't
that's interesting.
I didn't have an end to it. And so she was um, accused of unaliving her ex-boyfriend's mother with colchicine.
Okay.
She worked at his mom and dad's chiropractic office. She was in the office.
Okay.
They had a very the Caitlin and the boyfriend Adam had a very tumultuous. I probably said that wrong. Relationship. It was not good. Lots of accusations flying back and forth. Where he wasn't in a good mental state. He's accused her of not being in a good mental state.
Yeah.
They
They
break
probably
up.
both weren't.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know. But it's like they break up and she supposedly, unalives his mom for revenge with it's called colchicine, Colchine, I believe. Supposedly, she had to order it off the internet. Well, it was ordered off the internet. And,
By her?
well, one of the people that testified at the trial, however many years later it was, 2 years later, said that they had talked to Mr. Adam. But then when they testified at trial, they said they recognized her voice. I'm like, wait a minute. Why did you talk to, why didn't you want to talk to a man? If Mr. Adam was the person that ordered all this stuff, why then when you called to ask about it or whatever, I don't even remember the reason for the phone call, you talk to her, apparently, and you remember that 2 years later when you are at a job that requires you to call and talk to people all the time.
And you didn't have to confirm or type that in anywhere?
Apparently not.
That's weird.
So, they go through this whole trial. She has apparently allegedly sent an anonymous letter to the police saying, "You need to look at Adam." And then
I mean, that's usually who you look at first is the husband or the wife.
so the, husband, I don't remember if he was having an affair with his wife's sister or
Okay.
or if they were got together after her death because of comforting each other. It's
I
odd.
couldn't. I I'm sorry. So people ask I get this question all the time because my husband's an identical twin. And to this, like, I always no, like, they're just 2 different people to me, like, no.
Right. Yeah,
No.
because you know them, so they're not alike
What?
to you, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Um,
no.
this is in New York, Utica, New York, like Oneida County, I think, or however. I'm really bad at names. Um, so the dad supposedly is having this affair or non-affair with the sister.
Mhm,
The son has done a lot of suspicious things this whole time. Like he returned very early in the morning when his mom was doing well to come back from, I think, Rhode Island. And he
mhm.
got home like at 6:30 in the morning. And it was just, there's a bunch of really weird things that have happened. Basically, the state didn't prove their case, the first
Right,
trial. The first trial is hung jury.
okay.
So there's a mistrial declared. They're going to go retry it again. So now the investigator, the guy that's looking at all the cell phone data and stuff, he finds new evidence as they most, they do. And I was listening to him and he found a backup of her iPhone on Adam's computer. And that really bothered me because I've been married for 32 years. My phone gets backed up to my computer. My husband's phone gets backed up to his computer. And I didn't grow up with cell phones to be dating somebody with a cell phone back when I was, in my 20s, late teens, early
Yeah,
20s. But I can't even imagine then backing my phone up to my significant other's
not a
computer,
boyfriend.
not a boyfriend. I could do it, with my husband's, like, I wouldn't think twice about it. We just don't do that, but not to a boyfriend's.
Yeah, no.
It didn't make sense to me. And
And,
then
like, I'm thinking about it, we both have our own computers, we both back it up through that. The only thing I will say is we have, like, one large, like, hard disk drive that we will copy certain things over, like
mhm,
pictures or, like, keepsakes, because I have had a laptop go down and not be able to to
yep, yeah,
access it, which is
vintage.
not fun. That was my first semester of law school, that was a great Thanksgiving weekend that I spent free redoing all of my, like, outlines and stuff. Um,
I, feel bad for you because we've had my husband's laptop died, and then mine died, like, 2 days later once, and we
oh,
didn't have and they were just done.
yeah,
Absolutely, there was no warning, and they just were done. So,
yep,
we learned. So that bothered me that she would put her backup on his
yeah,
computer even when things hadn't been great. Why would she have done that? And then they find these text messages, and then they find these deleted images. I'm like, "Why did you not find these on the first go
before.
around? This doesn't
Well,
make sense to me."
depending on when they were doing these extractions, it could be that the software was slowly developing what it could pull, and that might be why. But it like because when did the crimes happen?
In 20 let's see, she went to trial in 2017 for the first time. So I think 2016. That's what I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out when
Okay.
I was like going through this stuff. Let's see if I have it. I don't have the exact but I'm thinking it was 2016 maybe.
Yeah. So by then they should have had the right
Oh,
kind
no,
of.
sorry, 2015.
Yeah, but even then, they should have had the right kind of extraction tools. Um, because that's about 5 years after smartphones really took off. Um, so they should have by then had at least pretty decent extraction tools, but they're pulling in a backup version of it from a computer, which makes me hesitate. And not the actual phone.
Yes, they did not. Yes, they had those on his computer.
Yeah,
And
I don't like that.
mm-mm. And then I don't like that there's these random, like now you have text messages. Now you have all these images that she has
Mm-hmm.
supposedly deleted about poisoning and colchicine and um
Yeah, because that stuff can be spoofed in a
yeah.
backup, I would imagine.
So I didn't like that at all. Uh, sorry, Cheyenne. If my phone was backed up to my partner's, I would purposely take pictures of the weirdest stuff. I believe you, Cheyenne. I believe you. Uh, and then I lost my train of thought. I've really lost it.
So the
Oh well.
backup on his computer was part of the
On
new
his
evidence.
computer, he had so colchicine. Apparently, you need to have eye protection, um, a mask, and gloves. Those items were found in his car, along with the bottle of colchicine. They did not save those three. They saved obviously the bottle, but they didn't save those three items. And his explanation for those items was he had a rusty car and he didn't want to get rust in his eyes when he drove. So he wore gloves and he wore eye protection and he wore his mask. I'm like, are you freaking
I call
kidding
bull,
me? Yeah, I don't believe that.
and I bet you can find people who'd say that they never saw him drive like that.
I never saw a picture of him in his car like that because I would probably take somebody's picture if they were driving their
Uh
car
huh.
like that, especially being young.
Yeah.
Like, "Hey, look at my
Oh yeah.
boyfriend driving his car like
Look at
this."
this. Look at look at my idiot friend type thing. Like,
Yeah, and so, that they didn't do anything with that. That was all explained away according to them. Both the, dad and the son were granted immunity to testify at the grand jury.
all right, who do they know?
I don't know. This has this, like, whole town divided of one side that thinks she's innocent, one side that thinks she's guilty. It's
Because they knew someone.
yeah. So, well, I would say I think they had a good practice going and, we're probably prominent people in the
What's
community.
her background like?
Caitlin, she was in college. She has your normal, um, mom, dad, home together. I think she has at least one older sister. There might be one other sister there. She grew up on I think a horse farm. So she grew up riding horses. She was in college at the time. She was trying to figure out her next move in life and what she was
Okay.
going to do with life. Um,
Sounds like they thought she'd be an easy fall target.
I think so. And so that first trial ends in a mistrial. They retry her again, have this new evidence. That jury goes out. They send a note back that says they don't think they're going to be able to reach a decision. And this is where I'm telling you. So then the prosecutor, and I've read the stuff that I'm reading in print and the stuff that she said in the docuseries are different. I know that'll shock you. In the docuseries, she says that she knew they would not get any more evidence, basically. Like they weren't going to come up with
Yeah.
any better evidence. So this was their chance. And that she went up and asked the judge if they could then put a lesser included of first degree I always call it man stuff. So
Yeah.
man, you know what I'm saying? It starts with an S. And the judge granted that.
I'm surprised that hasn't gotten reversed on appeal. Because
I have
usually after the jury's charged, now it could be different in New York. New York could have a different rule in different case law. I'd have to look more specifically at New York, but usually you have to put the lesser included before the jury is charged.
now when I read both of these articles, it says that the judge read the charge to the jury, and it was second degree unaliving, the first degree man stuff, and that he read the charge, and that when the note came out from the jurors, they wanted that explained again. And so
Okay.
he reread the charges. But I'm like, that's not what she said at all in this
Yeah, those are two
docuseries.
different things.
That's completely different than what she said.
Yeah. Because what she said is that she asked him to add it after when they sent in the note.
Yes. And when Caitlin she said when the judge granted that request, that gave the state 2 chances and her 1 to be found not guilty.
So it's going to depend on when that actually went in, and the record's going to be able to tell that. Because he has to, like, that's going to be all recorded when he reads out the charge to the jury and when he tells that kind of stuff again the second time. So that'll be in the record that goes up on the appeal. But if it was included before they sent the jury back, then that's normal. I mean, it's not considered 2 bites because a lesser included charge is seen as basically the same as the primary charge, but you're missing one element. So one way you can kind of analogize it is like you have pepperoni pizza. You have a dough, sauce, cheese, and the pepperoni. The lesser included in that case would be the cheese pizza. You'd have the same thing up until the cheese and no pepperoni. So that's kind of the idea between the lesser included and the primary, is that the lesser included is just missing an element that the primary charge has. So in the case of first degree versus man, it's usually the intent. Like you did it on purpose. You did it with planning. You did it with, malice, or, without thought or care whether the person lived or not. Whereas with man, it's usually an accident or negligence. So, like, you knew it probably could unalive them, but you weren't really, there's no 100% guarantee, and you really just didn't care. So that's where it kind of comes to that level of, theoretically, you might have already proven, elements 1, 2, and 3, but they can't get to 4. So, like, that's kind of how the lesser included work, and that's where it's going to depend. It's going to matter most on when they sent the lesser included to the jury.
And I don't know.
After, then I can see her argument working. If it's at the same time, then it's already been determined that you can do lesser includeds, and it's not 2 bites.
And I don't know, because I don't know who to believe.
Right.
If it's what So I'm like, either the prosecutor is flat out lying about when she did it for dramatic effect and thinking nobody's
Just
going to
bad.
notice it, which is bad, or the print, the articles I'm reading are lying, which is not
Right.
uncommon. So it I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it was a trial that was shown. There obviously they had
Yeah.
footage
It's
of
New
the
York.
trial.
New York
So
doesn't show.
they had footage of the trial, but it didn't show any of those parts of where he's reading out the charges and all that stuff that we
Yeah.
normally get to see. Um, so I don't know when that was put in there.
Sorry, I
Like
just saw Flash fan
Flash fan.
comment. Sorry, it's an easy analogy.
It made sense to me. Yes, she was guilty of man stuff. Um, which if they were going, it makes more sense to me that the prosecutor was telling the truth,
Yeah.
because why would there even be a chance of a hung jury if that was already there? And then they
Yep.
come back with that verdict, and that's what they convict her of, is the first degree man stuff. If that's not what happened, there's no
Yeah.
reason to tell the story that way if that isn't what happened.
No, you count it as a victory. Like
Yeah.
they found her of that one, you know?
So that's always what kind of has bothered me about like lesser included. It's kind of like, charge what you can prove,
Yep.
instead of like, okay, well I want to prove first degree unaliving, but if I can't, well, then here's second degree unaliving
Yeah.
or third degree unaliving. Also, then there's man stuff down here. So you pick from this
Part of
list.
part of why they do that is because so like this is kind of like the same thing when it's a jury versus a judge trial. With a judge, they're gonna know the law and they're gonna apply the law the way it, you know, should be applied based on how, the appeals and things like that have come down on that type of case law. A jury is gonna they get the explanation of the law, sure, but you've heard those jury instructions.
Oh,
They're
they're like
awful.
a drone. They just drone on and on and on, and
Right.
nobody's paying attention.
So, yes, they get a copy in the back and all that other stuff, but they haven't spent years learning how to understand that stuff.
Right.
So, it's kind of one of those where the attorney may have actually proven full first degree based on like the strict letter of the law, but a jury might not agree that they proved an element. Do you know what I mean? Because they
Mhm.
don't view
No,
it that way
absolutely.
through because they view it through a more layman person, purview. Which I think is better if you're on the defense side, but if you're on the prosecution side, it can be terrifying because you could think you proved your case and you really didn't. So it's kind of why they allow
It
the lesser included to allow for that kind of disconnect of education type thing, and it sucks because you should be able to prove it, but whether or not that you think that they proved it to the letter versus someone who's studied that area of law repeatedly and practiced that for years upon years is going to be different. So they may think that they should think that they can prove that. If they don't, they shouldn't be bringing the case. And that was my biggest
right.
hang with the Karen Reed stuff is I don't think Lely or anyone in that state office thinks they can prove any of those charges.
Which is sad.
My problem with it. Um, so it's one of those where they probably think they can prove it, but they include the lesser included for that case of, well, what if the jury doesn't really understand that element? So it sucks.
And I get it. You've made me feel a little bit better about it, because it's like, I guess
I don't
maybe
like
the
lesser included either, and I'm educated in this stuff.
okay, good. Maybe it's
I
like,
think it's stupid. Prove what you can prove, and I get that they're like basically everything but that maybe one element, but don't overcharge then. If you know
Exactly.
you can 100% prove manslaughter or man, sorry,
Stuff.
um, then go for that.
Yes.
If you think you have enough to prove first degree, then go for that. But I don't think that like I don't like the lesser included. I understand them. I get why it's there. I don't like it either though, most of the time.
Okay. Uh, Max said, wait, they record these documents. You can't change the date of files in court. I would say you cannot change
No.
that.
Everything should be recorded with a stenographer. Every state will have some version of rules slash law that says it must be documented in X way. And usually it's like either by stenographer, audio, or audio and visual. Most states have at least a stenographer at this point.
I would hope so. Thank you, Toy, for your $2 super chat.
I
And
should send you. I was working on looking into a case for Mo, um, where the case was running the 70s/80s, and we were able to get some of the court documents, and like they're handwritten like notes on what happened that day.
oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it was crazy to see.
I bet. Yeah, that'll be awesome. I want a I'm a man stuff t-shirt. I'm a doing man stuff t-shirt. Guilty of man stuff shirt. All right. Oh, sorry, Carmen. I thought I started, but maybe I didn't. I did. Carm said, had a guy unalive and set fire to this rich woman's house. Before he changed the will to go to him, unfortunately. Oh, before he changed the will to go to him, unfortunately, he was smarter than the detectives. Charges were dropped. Will he get the money now?
Um, who changed the will? How was the will changed?
He changed the will. Before
Well, because
before
only
he
she can change the will.
okay.
The only person
So
who can change a will is the person whose will it is.
you
I mean,
said
obviously, someone else could forge something. We see that in the Corey Richin stuff where she tried to forge a whole bunch of documents, including his
inspi-
power of attorney.
inspiring unaliver. Oh my gosh. Why do we have to come up with all this stuff? Yes, no, wow. New York is it's I can't say
Yeah.
anything because Indiana can show their trials and chooses not to. So
Oh, the case that I was looking into for Mo was actually an Indiana case.
yeah, we I they can is I think if I read it right, so they passed the law to say that they could have cameras in the courtroom. And then the Indiana Supreme Court overturned the law. And then
Mm.
the Indiana Supreme Court overturned their overturning the law and put it back.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. And you guys still aren't doing jack. So thanks, because nothing's happening. And
Yeah.
they'll show like openings, closings, and the verdict, and who cares? I want all that's like giving me
Yeah.
the bread and calling it a sandwich. I want the stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I know, Flash Van. Um, one more
They've always
thing.
been common. They just get
Yep.
caught more now.
Yes.
It's
Um,
easier to catch now.
so they did file. So they filed an appeal. The first one was denied. Um, let's see. And I think they filed, and then they filed. I want to make sure I say this to you right. Okay, so they filed an appeal with the Fourth Judicial Department. after her conviction as her right, and is her right and was denied. And then she went to the Court of Appeals, the court above the Fourth Department, and was denied leave to appeal there as well. And then that says that put a direct end to Conley's appeal process. And then in 2021, this other lawyer was retained to file a criminal procedure law 440 motion. That was filed in August of 2022. Trying to see if that one. So that motion was filed to vacate the man stuff conviction and sent to the Oneida County Judge Michael Dwyer. He who oversaw the trials. He's not going to overturn his own convictions. That's another issue that I have when you have to ask a judge that oversaw the trial for a new trial or to overturn a conviction. They're never going to do it.
No. It's a matter of preserving the record. It does happen occasionally in the sense that, like, a jury will come to a verdict and a judge will be like, this wasn't the right verdict. It does happen. It's rare. It's extremely rare.
Kind of like a directed verdict. It's very rare.
I would think a directed verdict is actually less rare than them overturning a jury verdict.
Ooh, because they're pretty rare.
Yeah.
I have seen two.
There's a very strong precedent to not overturn what a jury does.
Yes. And that's the problem with appeals. When everybody's like, well, they'll just appeal it. Like, okay, that's a really long process and there's no guarantees. And it's really hard to get.
And expensive.
And it takes forever. So the motion alleges the attorney in the first case did not rightfully challenge the seizure and search of Caitlin's phone and laptop belonging to Adam Yoder, who's the boyfriend, and the victim's son, which had a backup of her phone on it, like we talked about. The attorney candidly admitted in his own affirmation that he only skimmed the search warrant for key words and that he heavily relied on the people's assurances that the search warrants were good, the motion said.
Oh, you don't do that. Sorry.
That's okay.
You never trust the other side. You never trust the other side. Or you not say never trust. Like, trust but verify. Because someone could have a bad day, which I know some people would see that as a technicality, but hey, technicalities win cases sometimes, and rightfully so. Because if you're gonna deprive people of their liberty and their life, then you should do everything by the book.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so trust but verify, especially when it comes to something like a search and seizure warrant, because you could end up getting so much evidence thrown out against that was going to come in against your client, and now it can't be, because they did it wrong, or they didn't have proper probable cause, or something along those lines. Because yes, like you don't ever trust the state on that. They're the ones who author that stuff.
Yes. Like why would
happen?
Or if you don't have a good, honest prosecutor, why would they not try to
be cops lie?
Yeah, absolutely, and they admit it. So
cops lie.
And there's human element there. So it's all. I'll start, Carmen. It says the motion also alleges the second attorney failed to contact two witnesses for the second trial whose testimony would have expanded the time frame that Mary, who was the victim, could have been poisoned. One was a toxicologist who could have testified the poison colchicine could be administered up to 16 hours before symptoms occur, rather than the 2 to 6 hours the prosecution's witness alleged. The other was a patient of Yoder's who testified in the first trial that she showed symptoms of poisoning before lunch, because I think that was shown to that she was okay before
Yeah.
lunch. Also, she was doing okay in the hospital, and then I don't know if her son came to see her or if her husband went to see her, and then she wasn't okay anymore. But Caitlin,
How is that not red flagged?
I don't know, but I don't believe that Caitlin was at the hospital, but I don't think she ever had time alone with her to administer another dose of this colchicine.
Right.
So,
Well,
I
and
don't
how would she administer it in
I
the
don't know. Could you have to have gloves and, you know,
Yeah.
eye protection? It's it doesn't make
You need
sense to
all of
me.
this stuff.
Yes. Um, so in February 2024, the judge denied Conley's motion with the CPL 440. That decision was appealed.
Mhm.
Uh, when you get a denial for the 440 motion, you're not entitled to an appeal. The Swartz said you have to ask for permission from the appellate division for the appeal. We filed that motion around the end of February, and on May 17th, 2024, they received the decision that it had been granted. So she has 6 months to file a brief,
Okay.
and that's where that is kind of
That
sitting. I'm
case
not
is
sure.
interesting.
So I don't know what's
It's a
going to
fact
happen.
question. Yeah. It sounds like the appeals court at least thinks that they have something, because otherwise they would just deny the appeal. Um, they
Yeah,
don't they're not gonna waste their time. They have enough that comes up that takes time. I mean, again, going back to the Karen Reed one, if they had oral arguments in the beginning of November, if I'm correct, yeah, and we still don't have a decision. Um, so it takes time, and they're not gonna waste their time on an appeal or hearing an appeal if they don't think there's some merit to it,
right, right. Which
even if it's
makes
just the slightest.
yes, which if there is just the slightest, that should get a chance
Right.
if you get lucky enough. Hey, Haley, Jess, thanks for
Hello.
stopping by. I should. Oh yes, Flash fan. I will. Thanks for reminding me. I did kind of, but they weren't here yet. Um, hey, Adair, how are you? Um, so I was telling you about the trial that Flashman and I were talking about in Nebraska, the 55-year
Mhm.
old cold case. And Flashman, I don't know if you've looked, but I did look at what happened in court today, and it's not going to make you feel any better. I, I just will be honest with you that it's not going to make you feel any better. Um, so if you don't know what Flashman and I were talking about, there's a um, cold case in Nebraska. Like I said, happened 55 years ago. The guy that was arrested was 22 at the time. The victim was just a little bit younger than him. Um, I don't remember how old she was. He is 77 now. He is not in good health. This took place in 1969. He he has COPD. He's recovering from lung cancer. He's type 2 diabetic. He has issues going on. Um, so they had denied him bail, which it's Flashman thinks he should have gotten bail. Like I was telling you, I understand why he didn't because of
Yeah.
the
The type
charges.
of crime, yeah.
Yeah. So she was stabulated and left in the ditch on the side of the road. And then it says it's a country, like a rural community. So her books were found scattered in the road the next day by a farmer, and
Yeah.
then they found her. Um, he Flashman, I will get to that in just one second because Jess brought up a completely different side of it that I wasn't thinking of. Um, so he had his arraignment today, and first his oxygen had to go be recharged, and so that delayed that. Um, once this
I've
says
seen
I
that
was
happen
hand,
in another case.
like, wouldn't you kind of have that?
Well, because what they do is they bring them over at like, I mean, if you watch Boone, you heard about it. They bring them over at like 8 a.m. and then they're there all day. Um,
Yes,
so it's one of those that they never really know when they're gonna go. It happened with there's a case out of, actually he's got two cases in Utah, with a guy named Nicholas Alaverdian. Um, he was extradited from England. He was using a different name. He's got a whole other history, like a whole bunch of history. Um, but he's on oxygen because he apparently ended up having the lovely pandemic thing really, really bad.
oh,
And so a couple of times his hearings have been delayed because they've had to swap out his oxygen tank.
Dare says, "Hi Jedi Jess, love the name. You're the first Jedi I know." She's also the first Jedi I know. I don't know too many of them. I know one. So, Flashman, here's what you're not going to like. Um, so they had his arraignment, I think, if I'm reading that correctly. I'm trying to scan this. Okay, so it had originally been set for arraignment, but his attorney, um, Matthew McDonald of the Nebraska Commission on Public Advocacy on Monday asked for a chance to review the sealed transcript of the grand jury for any deficiencies that would prompt him to challenge the indictment. The
Okay.
prosecutors didn't object, so I didn't see that part to you earlier. And this was yesterday, not today. I apologize. I'm off on days. I'm probably just off, period. But I didn't need the chat to. They know. So Corey O'Brien of the Nebraska Attorney General's office said there's not a law of case law regarding whether defense attorneys can see sealed transcript in a grand jury that resulted in criminal charges. Um, he said the state has already provided discovery 18 volumes worth to the defense. And he said, but I think if they want to make any challenges to the indictment itself, they probably ought to have access to the transcript. So he did not care. And then I told you the judge was going to limit the disclosure of the contents of the grand jury to
Yeah.
Ambrose attorneys only. Oh, not Ambrose himself. McDonald said he would like his client to be able to see it. So he wants the defendant to be able to see the transcript.
Because your defendant is the one who would know if there was any inconsistencies or like, so the crime happened at 10 p.m. You know what I mean? Well, at 10 p.m. I was at work or whatever, or you know, with a friend, or and like you could have an alibi, and like you got to know. I think your client's going to be the one who can inform you of that. You're not going to know that otherwise.
Right. So that's what she's going to review the statute before ruling on whether it can be shared with him or not. So that seems kind of weird. The other motion was Flashman, the investigator that we saw that did the that's doing the interviews. They want him to stop. They have not asked for an order for him to stop, but they've asked for him to stop, and he said he would. They also want. It says on another motion, Deputy Saunders County Attorney Richard Register argued that a law created by the lead investigator, Ted Green, should be kept from defense counsel because it would give them a blueprint for the prosecution's case.
You're supposed to be able to know what you're bringing. That's the whole point of
So
our justice system. Now, in civil cases, it's a little different. If it was a civil case, I could understand that. You don't necessarily get to know everything that the other side's going to bring. You get a good knowledge of it, but like in a criminal trial, it's different because again, you're the state. You're trying to deprive them of their life and liberty. They get
so
to know what you're bringing.
exactly. And his attorney says law enforcement reports are not, as a rule, privileged, and there could be information within the log that points to other potential suspects in the 55-year investigation. So he says, I need to
Exculpatory
know,
evidence.
yes, what he, the lead investigator, did so I can cross-examine him properly.
Yeah.
The judge said she would review the log herself before deciding.
Yeah, it's probably more of a she just wants to double check something. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes they just want to see the attorney sweat. To be honest.
So, Carmen is right. Because, Flashman's like, where's he going to go? He's in a wheelchair. And then Gabby just nicely pointed out there's ramps everywhere.
That's
Just
true.
Gabby. But yes, Carmen found that he had previous escape charges
Oh,
before.
Yep. That alone will keep you
in his younger days, not his, he was a younger
doesn't
fella,
matter.
probably a little healthier, not
That'll keep you in.
sitting there sucking down the oxygen. Yes, Puddletown, I will be surprised if this guy makes it to trial because
Yeah.
these things don't move fast.
No.
So I don't know. Hey, Kelly. Glad you are here. Oops. That reminds me, my mom's always telling me to wear clean underwear because you never know.
I mean, it's true. Well, you never know if you're going to end up in the hospital or arrested.
That is true. I hope to neither is on my
Well, yes,
list.
you hope for neither, but do you really want to be stuck sitting in jail or in a hospital room?
So I don't know why I was telling you that they are not releasing anything as far as what evidence they have against this man. And so I told you they had exhumed her body in September of this year. My gosh, I'm just like
This could
fast
sound silly,
forwarding.
but has anyone actually asked for any of it?
Yeah, the news has asked,
Oh,
"What
okay.
evidence do you have?" And he says, we're not telling, we're not releasing
Well, so,
anything."
yeah, I mean the attorney's not going to say it, but I mean, like, did they make a FOIA request or
I don't know because
like,
we've just have had the news stories on it.
yeah, because prosecutors and even defense attorneys not so much, but prosecutors often are taught from the get go. You don't tell the media anything.
And this wasn't them, it was their detective.
Even
He's the one
the
that's
detective's
been
going to be
like,
told though by the state saying, "Don't tell him anything."
yeah,
Um,
he's the one that had to be told to stop doing interviews.
yeah, which would worry me in the sense of why does he have such an axe to grind on it?
Yeah, because he's only been investigating this for 9 years.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't know what the speculative motive was. They don't have a lot. It's like they suspect that she got into a car with people she knew and something happened in the car. She got out of the car and took off running. They could see this was in March, so in Nebraska it could be snow. it also could be a dirt road, and the dirt there is sandy. So I
Mm.
could
So
see
not very good with
they
imprints.
well, no, they saw her footprints and they saw another set of footprints.
Okay.
So and it's a weird some of the roads there, like the dirt roads, it's a red, weird reddish color,
Yep.
and
Very
it
distinctive.
would show up. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. And so that somebody chased her down, caught her, and unalived her.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. Don't know. Oh, sorry, pedal down. What was happening in the car? If anything was happening in the car, she was,
Right.
3 miles from home, which nowadays would be like, I'm not walking 3 miles. Back then they would walk 3 miles. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been a big deal for her to do that. So, uh, I don't know. Adair, that is my home state. So,
Do
Flashman
they
found
allow
it.
access to their court documents
I'm not
after you're
exactly
dead?
sure. Uh, I haven't tried because we just looked at this last week, and I don't know. They're about as bad as cameras. Well, they're a little bit better than Indiana, but so I don't know.
I'll have to look. Just send me a message on Discord with the like defendant's name and stuff, and I'll take a look to see if I can find um whether or not they allow court like public access to the documents and stuff.
Okay,
Um,
Carmen, that is not nice.
you'd be surprised.
You do not have a farmer's hat on and a piece of straw hanging out of your mouth. Thanks. What? What's that saying about footprints in the sand? Something about God. Oh, it's
Oh yeah,
because
there's a quote.
when there's only one set, that's when God was carrying you. Well, I do too, but what the Uh, yeah. They, were super,
That'll
super
happen.
messed up, and it was a really bad snowstorm. They, got out of their car to get away from the things that were chasing them and ended up
Yep.
freezing. It turned out those things were cows.
Meth is a hell of a drug.
Like, yeah. It's like, I hope you had to explain yourself when you got to the afterlife. Like, why are you here? Because you had some steaks on legs trying to get you.
Yep. There's a great creator on TikTok called See You Later. Her whole thing is the help desk in hell. And she frequently does different skits like that. It's great. It's great.
I mean, I bet they're awesome because that's what I'm just going. How embarrassing that you had to go explain that somewhere. I
Yeah.
hope you did. I really hope you had to go explain that. Of it was cows.
It
All
was
right,
cows. Really.
thank you.
It was cows.
Maybe you could at least say there was like bulls. Maybe lie and say there was some
That would
like
make a
Texas
bit more
Longhorns
sense.
out there or something. But I would say there wasn't. I'd say there was probably maybe a bull and cows
Yeah, well,
would
you're
be
not gonna
my
put more than one
guess.
bull in one area. They're just gonna fight the whole
Right.
time
So,
otherwise.
yeah, it's like embarrassing. I don't know. We can, if you want to, we can touch on carrot. It's getting, I know we've gone a little bit longer. Or we can talk about carrot some other time or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, whatever
Uh,
works. Carmen's trying to remind you about something that you starred?
Oh gosh. We'll talk about Carmen's thing. So this happened, what she's talking about. Oops, I gotta click over here. This happened in the in Bloomington, which is next to me. I don't live in Bloomington. I hate that I can't star. Where'd you send that, Carmen? Carmen, can you send that again? I may not find it. I started it to save it, and now I can't find it. It's a case where this guy um, set this woman's garage on fire and unalived her. He fled to California. All right, I've passed it. They finally found him in California, brought him back. Carmen, can you just post it again? Because I cannot.
That's what she did.
Okay, good. Thank you. As long as it's not a video, Carmen, I will play it, but I'm not playing any news videos. Okay, so this happened 2018-ish was when he was found and arrested and brought back to Indiana from California for they believed he had set a fire that unalived this woman, and he had falsely claimed to be her son in order to inherit her multi-million-dollar estate.
So he's not actually her son.
No.
Okay.
So she was 85. She was found unalived inside her home. I think he was living in the garage on her property. He says that he told investigators his mother was deceased inside the home and that he had been unsuccessful in trying to rescue her. He was taken to the nearby hospital for treatment of minor injuries. Let's
Okay.
see.
So here's a fun thing to note about
Okay.
inheritance. They will DNA test you. They will make sure you are actually biologically someone's child.
Nice. Boy, but what if you were like, you didn't know? Like you were raised that your whole entire life
Oh,
thinking
it
that
happens.
you were in that family, but mom didn't tell anybody that because my
It
dad
happens.
always says moms know and dads have faith.
It
Like,
happens usually when one of the other siblings will challenge it. If there's a
oh,
question of it, then they'll do a DNA test. So, like here, where he's claiming to be the son, if there's no proof of her ever having a child, let alone a son, or say there's only proof of her ever having daughters, they will DNA test.
well, here, I'll do you one better. Family members told detectives to their knowledge, she never had any children.
Yep.
So
And
good for
and don't get me
him.
wrong, sometimes they hide children. Sometimes people hide
That's
children.
true. That is
It
true.
happens. But they will DNA test. And if it comes back that he's not related at all, he doesn't get anything. Unless he's specifically named in the will.
So it says she owned artwork, collectibles, and real estate nationwide valued well above
Oh,
$10
yeah.
million.
Which means she's got some bank or something, financial advisor, something, who is managing all of that for her.
It says that subsequent investigation determined she suffered from dementia and Alzheimer's and was dependent on Noel Montez Cazares for food, transportation, and clothing. Detectives found no source of employment for him, Cazares. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that last name right. And the residence in which she passed away had no functioning utilities. Neighbors told detectives they were surprised anyone lived in the structure.
Sounds like he was supposed to be the quote unquote caretaker of her and
Uh,
abused it.
yeah. The investigator later revealed a trust agreement in the name of Lorraine Bush with one beneficiary. So Lorraine was the victim, which had been so the beneficiary, which had been removed and replaced with the name of Giovanni Bush, which was his other name. So that gave him the same last name as her.
Right. But if it's a fake
Oh,
baker.
Baker's. Hello, Baker Raiders.
At
Yay,
least
Iris
it's
is
in a
back.
J name still.
Hey, cheers.
You're normally in bed.
Oh, that's hilarious. I apologize to her, Baker. I apologize for taking her away. It's Celestial. Oh, that's funny. Sue, I saw you. I can't wait till it's pool season again, even though I don't have one.
It's
Everyone
nice and
else,
warm.
Marissa, thank you guys for coming over. We are just uh, reading this story from, I guess I can close that one out. Oh no, that's the wrong one. That would have been bad. That happened. You blame Jamie. Okay.
I blame the
I'm not
intern
blaming
that you
Jamie
and
for
Bro
anything. Let's see. It says she kept a solitary life, but she was reported missing on January 17th. A photo of her circulated before she was later found in good health. What? A photo of her circulated before she was later found in good health. All right, that is just a sentence.
It doesn't even make sense.
It makes zero sense.
Proofread, people.
Yeah. So he was not, if I remember right, Carmen will tell me, he was not found guilty of, I don't think he was found guilty of unaliving her. Um, I think that's why she was asking if he would get the money.
There's so many other questions. Like he was rewrote
Wait,
in, like it was the amendment of like him adding in. Also, that's not a real person. That'll be an issue. Because whoever's named the trustee in that document is going to
yes.
need to verify all of that.
All right, everything's like freaking out.
Uh-oh.
Hang on a second. For some reason, we're all freaking out. Baker, you came in and broke it.
You brought the
Are you
tech
good?
gremlin. I think I'm good.
Yeah, because I was like, I think I'm good. Okay, say what you said again, because you froze.
So, depending on
Ah,
how that like amendment of changing like the beneficiary was done, one, it might not have actually been done correctly because there's certain ways that you have to usually like there's usually something in the document that says whether or not you like how you can amend that portion. Such um so like that's one thing. The second thing is that like who he named wasn't technically a real person.
nope.
Um it's a false identity, so that's going to raise a lot of questions about the validity of that. Um the trustee is going to challenge the validity of him being appointed as a beneficiary
I would,
anyway.
I would think that shouldn't this almost be settled by now? Like, shouldn't this be somewhat easy to settle? He's not She has no children. The
Mhm.
family's saying she has no children. He's claiming to be a child, which I understand what you're saying. They hide him. DNA test, that's going to come back as she is not the mother.
Right.
And then should that not just be over at
Well,
that
so that's the
point?
thing is with trusts, you can name a non-relative with a trust. You can name like I could just name Joe Schmo off the street as the beneficiary of a trust. Um, because a trust is a way to get around the normal inheritance laws. So she could have named him, but given all of the other questionable things around her unaliving and this amendment was close to, her unaliving, that's going to raise a lot of questions and that the validity of all of that is going to be challenged. And the way that a trustee can do that is they're going to have to challenge it in court. Um, Especially given how large her estate is and if the trust contained her entire estate.
Yes. And I would think if you're going to I okay, if I have to think like him, who he obviously wasn't that smart in doing his crime, so he changed his name to make it his name, her name, Giovanni Bush, Lorraine Bush. He had like a a Latin like a Latino sounding name, if I
Right.
so he completely changed that up too. But other than that, it's like you haven't you have nothing. If
Right.
you probably would have had a better leg to stand on saying you were her caregiver and she wanted you to be in the will, not change your name,
Right.
not unalive her, not run away to California.
Yeah. There's a lot of suspicious
Like,
circumstances.
so many of those things don't do, and then maybe you would have stood a chance of getting some money. I don't but if he wanted all $10,000,000, that was never gonna work.
No.
Holy crap. Good luck. I hope that,
Oh
gets
no.
taken care of very soon.
Not.
Celestial. Ooh, I about said holy crap, and then I was like, maybe I shouldn't say that, but yes, run, please.
Yeah. I hope you have lots of towels nearby.
Oh my gosh. And you're right, Marissa, they are not.
No, they're not.
And all the people, um oh, hey, watcher of trials. We were talking about a tri or a s I don't know that it was really a case because I don't know that it ever went to trial.
Probably hasn't yet, yeah.
But it happened
Probably
in
trust stuff one.
2018 where this guy, unalived a woman he was possibly a caregiver for. She had a
Curious
large estate.
how he's been living.
I
And I
don't know.
say that because, like, so when the person of a trust, like when the person who initiates the trust passes, like there's paperwork and things that have to be done before the like ultimate beneficiary of the trust starts getting like income payments and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff that has to get set up, especially if it's like acting as what we call a will substitute, which is basically acting in place of the normal estate process. So like they would need contact with him. Like the trustee would have had to have contact with him regularly to get all of that done. And they would have been verifying things like his identity and stuff. I'm assuming because of the level, like how high, like the fact that it was a $10 million estate. I
Yeah.
assume she had like a professional trustee, not just like naming, her brother or something.
I would assume that she would have had hopefully that set up before she got too far down the road of
Right.
dementia and Alzheimer's because then who
Well, and
knows?
that'll play in as well, because they'll have to have like doctors testify and stuff, but that'll play into whether or not the documents will be valid.
She says, "No, never went to trial, never will. All charges dropped. The estate is currently in court of appeals in California." So I'm going to assume he went back to California then where he
Yeah.
fled. Good for him. People. There's like things
Yeah.
like don't hurt kids, don't hurt animals, don't hurt the elderly, and don't hurt anybody that can't defend themselves for whatever reason that is. I can't do it. Like,
Yeah. That's like someone had recommended I look into or watch a trial where it was like a special need, like a kid with Down syndrome was the victim, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I have a nephew with that who's about the same age. Like,
yeah.
no, I can't. Like,
Marissa says, "Yo, California state laws. Oh, they must be great. I'm sure they're easy and really, really simple. Little book on them, and they go really fast, right?"
ew.
I I I have one living parent, and I can tell you I am dreading. I'm dreading for when my dad passes away because it's my dad, and
Well, yeah,
but I am dreading when he passes away because I always am like, "Dad, like, I need you to tell me how to handle this because,
yeah,
I don't know." And I have a brother and a sister who are older than me, but are going to be staring at me going, "Okay, dad told you what to do, right?" And it's an awkward conversation to have with somebody because you're talking about what's going to happen when they're not here.
you have
He
to have it.
he has
'Cause-
everything set up. Like, he's
Well,
like,
that's good at least.
everything is in here. Here's like, get this, find this. And he's told me where this is. Call this person. They'll get you going. And
Yeah,
then today he like threw another loop at me, and I'm going, wait, what? You want to do what now? If you're going to do this, don't just do it. Like, get it done. Don't wait
yeah.
around like you normally do, because then I'm going to be sitting here going, well, crap, dad. we, we didn't do it. So, um,
Well, and unfortunately, when it comes to money and that point, people like it brings out the worst in people,
it
like
does.
the worst.
Oh, please don't say that. Hmm.
Yeah,
I
it can
don't
be.
I don't wanna be getting there.
It all depends on what, like, how they set it up, how the eventual people who are supposed to receive it act.
I
You'd be
think we will
surprised.
be okay because
Yeah,
we've had conversations about it. I can't be like, I have no idea because I've never asked my dad, like, monetarily or anything like that, like, what's
yeah,
there, because I don't wanna know, and my mom was a super private person about that, so I would never do that just out of, um, respect for her,
right,
and so the conversations I have with him is like, "Dad, I don't care, don't wanna know, because when I have to do this, that means you're not here, so I don't ever wanna have to do it, but I know I'm gonna have to do it."
right. So long
So,
as you know, like, so long as he's got the stuff set up for the most part and he has someone to call, that tells me he's probably got a lawyer who's involved in it and is gonna have everything and is gonna walk you through it, no problem.
I hope so.
Um, it's when
I
you
hope so.
don't have those things or, like, you change things or, there's a greedy sibling or, you
Won't be
know
that. Won't be that. Might
yeah,
be a spouse, but, I've already
but
talked
they
to
don't wanna
him,
say.
and that's what he said, so I said, "Alright, that's all I needed to know." Of, are you talking about me, Puddletail?
I mean, like, we've occasionally had those conversation with my in-laws, um, and it's mostly of the high level of, "We don't wanna know what we're gonna," like, none of that. We just someone knows where the documents are, right? Which is my husband's twin because he still lives with them, because economy sucks. Um, and, um, plus it's beneficial to them too. Like, it's a all around good situation for them, but, um he knows where everything is. He knows how to he knows what needs to be done, and that's all that matters. And as long as someone knows where to
Yes,
find the stuff.
yes, and I know, um, ironically, I think my husband and my daughter have more information about it than I do, just because I just
Yeah.
tell me where it is, and I'll handle it after that because she said he's got you covered. So,
Yeah.
and I am trying. It took
You
me a
should
long
though. They're
time.
expensive.
They are expensive, and um,
If you can lock in a rate now, it's better than people people you care about going to debt.
absolutely. And I finally, like, it took a long time, but I finally was able to, like, Dad, let's go plan moms before that time gets here,
Yeah.
so it's done and we don't have to worry about it. And we did, and he was so happy we did that. And
Yeah.
then he said, "Oh, we probably ought to go down there and pick mine out." And I said, "Yeah, because if you don't, I'm going to plan the whole thing." And he at one point like wanted to be cremated, and I said, "That's fine. I'm still having a traditional funeral for you, and then I'll cremate you. So
Yeah.
there I'm going to rent the casket and you're going to be in that, and then I'll do what you want to do." And he goes, "Don't do that. If you're just going to get the casket, just get the casket anyway." It's like, "All right, perfect." So, I don't know. Uh I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that. Someone wants to know if we could talk about the Richard family. It's a cold case from the 1960s. Send me some info on it because I assume you mean like later, Flashman. What did you say? My mom asked the other month what we wanted of her so she can get things in writing for when the time comes. I can't be dealing with that. I said, I want her. Then joked, I'll have the house. There are 6 kids. Woo.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, it sucks. It's a sad thing.
It
I
sucks.
don't.
It sucks, but in the end, it's better for yourself and your family to have all of that settled as much as possible.
What? I had to pay and play. Not pay and play. Pay and plan
Yeah.
for my dad's. He wanted to go in the recycle bin.
Listen, my sister has frequently said she wanted to be taxidermied. Um, and I have told her if she makes me do that, then she's gonna become a Halloween decoration.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Uh, yeah.
I used to tell my husband I was gonna do that too. Like, when we were younger, I'd be like, I'm just gonna if you die young, I'm just gonna stuff you, and then I'm just gonna put you in the recliner. You can just sit there for the rest of
Sit
eternity.
there.
I'll just, like, talk to you every day." And he said, "What are you gonna do when you bring your new boyfriend home?" I was like, "Nah, not I don't need to.
Yeah,
You'll be
it's
over
fine.
there. Just say hi. It's fine."
Gabby, I don't know if it's a Rhode Island thing. I know it's my sister who's crazy thing. She's the
Yeah,
only person I've ever heard of that wanted that.
I'm not from Rhode Island, and I thought of it out here in little old Indiana, so Oh my goodness. Oh, he brought up taxidermy too. See, it's y'all are safe. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know where Marissa is. Marissa, are
She's
you
in
in California?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. All right, close.
Maybe it's just like a northeast section of the world, the country.
Yeah. Well, you guys threw some out here and I caught it. So Oh, she meant using her as a,
Oh, that's a Halloween. Yeah, probably.
I
We do have the big blue bug. So there's that,
Oh my goodness. I'm not
which is
from the land of
literally just like
cookies.
a giant blue ant that sits like up on
Uh,
the thing because
well,
It's for a exterminator
Oh,
that's like super that's been around for like ages. Um, but yes, they have a big blue bug that like overlooks the highway.
you live 5 minutes from the big blue. Of course you
Yeah.
do. I do not want to be donated to the body farm. As FYI, everybody that can hear me, hear this. I am telling you all right now, please do not donate me to the body farm. So I don't know if that makes it legally binding or not, but my mind is sound, and whatever else I need to say, I'm saying it. No. Yeah.
Yeah, they do dress it up at Christmas time. The lovely big blue bug. They give him like a reindeer nose and antlers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I do not. No. And Carmen, I know you would never, ever. So I'm not worried about it. And yes, we do, Adair. You get the nicer. If Adair has nice weather, it's on the way to me.
Yeah.
So if he
Usually, if
get
Mercer's complaining about rain, I know it's coming.
yeah, if Adair's like, oh, it's raining, I'm like, keep it over there, Adair. I don't want it. No, 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 no. No, I do not want cadaver dogs to practice with me. What is happening?
I'm trying to think of the weirdest way to like.
Well, they brought mom's forearm home again. Just throw it. Fetch it.
Go get it, boy.
Like, ask the cat, what are you playing with? It's that mom's big toe.
Right?
Oh my gosh. No. I don't even know what that is, Cheyenne. Cheyenne, that sounds horrible.
That sounds terrible.
I don't know what that is. Is that like no, that's not right. I was thinking of oh, it's
Wax
in
museum.
California. The place out in California, like the Hearst Castle, maybe, that has lampshades that is made out of human skin, like people that
Ah,
had tattoos. So they made lampshades.
that's that's messed up.
Cheyenne said Google it. Carmen said do not Google that. Gabby said, oh my gosh, no, don't Google that. I will not Google it. At
Nope.
least not right now. So, all right,
Nope.
Jess, we can wrap this up. We went way off the rails around the mountain, kind of coming back.
We took a trip. It's fine.
I'm s- oh my goodness. The Podestas have some of that art. It's pretty disturbing. Okay.
Ooh.
Never Google anything in chat. I do believe that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Make
the
sure you clear
catacomb.
your browsing history.
I am so careful about what I Google because of watching
Right?
trials. Like, you will not find stuff on my phone of, well, did you Google this? Maybe because I was watching a trial. Oh, you expect us to believe that? And uh, I will tell you this story and then I'll let you go, because last week I was talking to Carmen about this like new thing that we're going to do after the first of the year of covering these
Yeah.
older serial unalivers. And I was talking to her on the phone. I was driving to my dad's, and so I'm in his driveway, and I just so nonchalantly said to her, because I was getting off the phone, and I said, "Okay." I was like, "Just send me the list of the people that you want to unalive." But I said K, the K word. just as matter of factly as
Yeah.
I and and then I just busted out laughing, and she
Yep.
was like, "Mom," and I was laughing so hard, and then I said, "You know what's gonna happen now, Carmen? The powers that be that are listening, if I ever have to go on trial, they're going to take that snippet of conversation where I said that
Yep.
to you, and then I laughed hysterically, and
And they're
they're
gonna make
going
you look
to."
like a psycho.
Yes, that is all that's going to
Yeah.
be played, is me just saying that, like, everyday conversation and then laughing hysterically. Like, I'm screwed. I was like, "Just please make sure to tell them there was more to the conversation."
Right? There was so much more to
There's
that.
so much more before and after, not just
Yep.
that. I'm like, I don't even know what I was thinking that made me say it.
Yeah,
Just
but
like,
it happens. And, like, I've noticed that with, like, songs or whatever, like, is it Teenagers? By My Chemical Romance? There was a song by My Chemical Romance I was listening to after the Crumbly trial, and because I had been watching the Crumbly trial and, that's dealing with that whole situation, it clicked what the lyrics actually said, and I
oh,
was like, "Oh my god, I've been singing this like it's no problem like, since the song came out," and I was just like, "Oh my god," like, like, you don't like, I never put 2 and 2 together, like,
yeah, because you don't.
it was just song lyrics, whatever, and, you like the beat and the music and everything behind it, and, like, never really paid attention to what I was saying in the lyrics, and then I,
Yes.
like, was it was right after that because I remember going, "Oh my god, that's what they're talking about." Like
I know. I should never listen to that ever again.
whoa.
I have done that.
Yeah,
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 too.
um,
Oh
but one
my
of the cases
gosh.
you should look into is, Craig Price. He was a Rhode Island unaliver who unalived, I think it was a total of 7 people, but it was only in 2 instances,
Oh, wow.
and the way that they caught him was the second time he messed up and left his fingerprints on the light bulb outside.
Nice.
So, like, the porch light, he had
Mhm.
twisted it to shut it off and didn't put it back, and, that's how they caught him.
And good on whoever thought to, look at that.
Yeah. It happened in Warwick, which is, like, not a rich town, but, like, it's a middle class, like,
Yeah,
decent well-off
I've
town,
heard of
even at the
it.
time. Um, and the first set went unsolved until after the second set when the detective noticed that the light was out and checked the light bulb and found that it had his fingerprints on it.
Nice.
And then
And
they were able to connect the crime.
that's what I always try to tell, because my husband would be like, "I could get away with that." I'm like, "Well, number 1, please don't try, and 2, no, you cannot." There's
No, you
so
can't.
few people in this world that have gotten away with crimes that have never been solved. There's a handful of them.
Yeah.
But
And even now that's
nowadays, it's
getting
complete.
cracked down with the ancestry DNA stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, you can't, you just can't. I was
yeah,
like, "Don't think you can, because you just make a mistake like that
yeah.
of
Just a
you're not
simple mistake of his
you're just not
fingerprints were on the
thinking."
light bulb.
Yeah, yep.
Um, and he was underage at the time. He was a minor, but he was, I think, tried as an adult. Um, but he's come up for parole a few times, and they've just continued to find reasons to keep him in.
You're like, "No, I don't think you've screwed in enough light bulbs yet, so you just
Yeah,
we'll see in a couple years."
yeah. Well, because like I said, it was 7. I think it was 7 total people.
Yikes. And
In
being
the
that
same
young.
house,
Oh,
um, but separate, like, families and such. It was so crazy. I remember learning about it in my, like, high school forensics class because of the fingerprints.
wow.
But yeah.
Uh, Pedal down. You took it back to the store, that's why they won't catch you. You stole a Snickers. So,
Right? No, it's very hard nowadays, but with all the devices and cameras and DNA testing has come so far. You'd have to basically find a way to like have a very good alibi set up and still
And
manage to make it happen.
yes, because they'll use the whole your phone wasn't moving, so
Yeah.
you must have been committing the crime, or your phone was moving, so you must have been committing the crime.
Yep.
Whatever way we need it to go, so you were committing the crime. We'll make that happen. All right, Carmen, last question. Do
You
you think
think
it's right a record that you were never charged with will always pop up just because you were fingerprinted?
um yes and no, and I say that because sometimes it can serve as kind of a red flag for certain horrible crimes like crimes against children, because they can't always prove those crimes because children aren't don't make good witnesses. It's the truth of the matter. Like, unless you have very good evidence or digital evidence against someone, convicting them of crimes against children are very hard. Um, because you have to kind of rely on that child's testimony. That being said, it also does show usually that it's been dismissed or, you know, vacated or something along those lines, and why. Um, I mean, it's one of those that it's always going to come up, but it's good and bad. Like, it has both, in my opinion. And I think in some cases, like if you're going to be working around children, you should be aware that this was at least an issue at some point. You know, perhaps they can explain it away or give a good answer as to why it pops up. But I think especially when it comes to children, it should.
Well, you gave her a good answer.
Yeah.
Just like you did me with the oh, Flashman. I forgot to tell you. I
Oh yeah,
think
the fleeing guy.
yes, the reason the that just said too that they may be worried about and not giving that guy in the Nebraska cold case bond or bail is because of him unaliving himself and never being brought to trial.
Yep. So,
Self-deletion.
yep. I'm pretty sure my fingerprints are already in the system.
My
I mean, they
prints.
were for my job, but
My prints are just for getting like my force multiplier license that I
yeah,
never, you had to get fingerprinted. We're a constitutional carry state now, so I did all
yeah.
that for nothing, but it's whatever. I didn't care. And when I would, oh, he was good with that answer.
Oh,
Makes more sense. Me too, Flashman. Me too. And even though I'm still with you and I don't like them, you made me feel better about lesser included, even though I still don't like it
yeah,
because don't overcharge, like you said.
yeah. I don't like it because I think you should only charge for what you can prove, but I
Exactly.
understand why, and sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah. And I don't, yeah, it's like a necessary evil and I don't like it.
Yeah. That it's like we didn't get to it, but like the whole double jeopardy and mistrials thing, I absolutely hate that they can do it infinitively, like an infinite amount. But I understand why in some cases it can happen. Like you have no choice but to declare a mistrial and try it again. You know what I mean? Like I just don't like that it's an infinite
I don't either.
chance.
I'm like, give them a couple bites at the apple. And if you can't get it done by
Yeah,
then okay, how many times do you get to just ruin somebody? Especially if somebody would be innocent of it.
yeah,
I don't know. Um, but then you've ruined their lives already.
yep,
And now you're just trying to find more evidence that
yeah,
why didn't you find it before? And I get stuff does come up later and I understand
yeah.
all that. Um,
I'm a bit more understanding when there's like an advance in technology that allows for new testing or new evidence is brought to light. I'm a little bit more understanding with that. I'm not as understanding when you've gone to jury trial multiple times and gotten hung.
well, like this woman. which I
Yeah.
believe of I'm really more inclined to believe that what she said on the docuseries was what
Yeah.
happened. Um, and when mostly because if she said we didn't have any other evidence. There was not gonna be any better evidence.
Yeah.
So we wanted her, we wanted to get her, we got her. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. But all right, Flashman, you're gonna have to send me that name. I'm going to let Jess go. Thank you so
And
much
that's a
for
name.
I guess it is.
I- in in a gout in a
I'll just
gaucho.
write it down, Flashman.
That's a name.
Not even gonna try.
Nope.
Not even gonna try. That has a lot of nope to it. So thank you guys all for
Yes.
being here. Thank you guys all. Thank you that came over from Baker's. Thank you for letting me steal Jess. Um, I appreciate you coming here. I hope we can do it again and just like I said, I enjoy learning. I learn better this way of just being able to talk about it than trying to read stuff, especially law stuff, because it gets really
Oh, law
dry.
stuff. Dry, and depending on how far back you have to go, Old English.
Yeah,
That's
it,
why
I'm
when
like
you apologized for sending a book, I was like, "That's not a book. Don't worry. Like, you're fine." Like, that's nothing. I don't think I have any of my I don't have any of my old law books in reach. I used to, but, like, that's nothing.
Yeah, I thought, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna open this and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to read a book today. I have my own stuff to do." But I just thought, like, here's where I'm at. Like, here's
Yeah,
the 2 trials that have bothered me the most. But really this one because this I just watched this, and I actually went
yeah,
back and watched that other part again with that prosecutor saying that to make sure I had it right.
yeah,
So and then when I was looking the stuff up today and seeing it in print going, "That's not what she said happened." Now I'm just,
yeah.
so but yeah, we'll have to talk about the other one at some point,
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
but thank you again. Thank you guys for coming out. Sorry Breaker broke the internet when you all came over, but it fixed
Right?
my YouTube thing just went down, so I'm just
Oh,
on
jeez.
StreamYard right now. I didn't even try to fix it when everything was glitching. I was like, "It's good." So, all right, we will see you guys all tomorrow. Do not forget at 1 p.m. Zach will be on. He's going to be in the hot seat. It is not a members only stream. It is a everyone stream,
Oh,
and
that'll be
you can
funny.
come ask him anything. So please come with a bunch of your good questions. And I want to see him squirm just a little. We can make him do that because it'll be a good time.
Yes.
So, all right, guys. See you guys later.
Okay.